Hello and welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts. Hey, Mandy, how are you?
Doing so good. How are you?
I am doing all right. As you can tell, I'm a little bit under the weather. The
Yeah.
allergies, man. Texas has a mind of its own in the weather. I've lived here all my life. It's not new, but at the
Mhm.
same time, whatever is rolled into town with this wind is
Mhm.
taking me out.
Yep, and it hits you different every year, I think allergies do. It's just random how, what it's gonna
Yeah.
bring. We are going to, for anybody listening, we are going to cut out as many of the big sniffles as we can so that you are not
Yeah.
annoyed by by all of that. Sadly for me, I don't get to miss any of them, so
Yeah,
sniffle
you're gonna
away.
get to listen and watch all the snot. It's gonna be glorious.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, we've got this. So I'm trying not to complain about what I have to listen to. At least I get to look at all of the sunny, beautiful weather and the palm trees
Yeah.
and all of
If
that.
I were sitting in Florida, maybe I wouldn't be sniffling, so,
I'm gonna take
I
a
do find that
picture.
interesting. Yeah,
You've
go
got to
ahead.
see this, what I'm
We'll
looking
add
at.
that to the screen.
We
I do
will.
find it interesting. I saw a TikTok this morning, and it's completely off topic, but relative. It was really talking about you can and a lot of people get stuck in the loop of the bitterness of my life could have been better if, or if this hadn't have been happened, why did I have to go through that, whatever. Or you can accept reality for what it is and move forward and embrace it and
Mhm.
find the beauty in that and go from there because that's what's actually going to take you down your path. So all that to
Yeah.
say, I'm not going to sit here and be bitter that I got the cedar fever and you're
Mhm.
sitting beachside in Florida. I'm just
Not
going
yet.
to,
It's a little bit chilly here. Apparently, this is the coldest season that Florida has ever seen. It's been 30. It's been the other night. It was so cold. To go outside, I had to put on a coat and a beanie. Um, but by the end of the week, it'll be back to 80, and we can go sit at the beach. So I'm trying not to complain because it's beautiful to look
yeah.
at the very least. So
Well, I'm
yeah,
trying not to be jealous and just accept the reality and it's sunshiny here too, so it's
you're
not so
invited
bad.
in the camper every single time that we go. I don't know why you don't join us.
Never have I ever had a golden boss invitation sent to me for a camping trip with the
I
alts.
know. I know, but you're invited every time. But I do get to see you in less than a month, and I'm so excited about the
I
Become conference
know.
coming up on March 12th and 13th. What are you the most
I'm
excited
very,
about?
very excited about. I think that I'm the most excited about, well, if I'm being honest, I'm the
Mhm.
most excited about getting to spend time with my friend.
Yeah.
But because our relationship is so layered in the personal and the professional, I think what I'm the most excited about is getting back into that headspace of real development, diving
Yeah.
deeper and the breakout sessions that goes topic specific to where,
Mm.
you may go to several of them and they're great, but like usually when I go to something like this, there's one big takeaway that
Mhm.
maybe I didn't even like know that I was going after, but it becomes a theme for development
Mhm.
over the next several months, if not a year.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited kind of about the unknown. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what's going to trigger me in that way, and I'm
Mhm.
pumped about it because well, you know me, I like the development aspect of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, who knows what's gonna inspire you. I'm excited about
yep.
it. It is a day of or 2 days of inspiration, and you don't know. You might
Yep.
say, "I loved Whitney's story when we had Whitney on the podcast, and I can't wait
Mhm.
to hear the full thing, everything that she has to say that can help us." But I think that you come in with a mindset of, "I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to let this conference be my sign of kind of where my development goes." I think that you're gonna win. So
Yeah.
I am excited about Become. Again, it's a 2-day conference for women in St. Louis, March 12th and 13th. And there's keynote speakers and there's open networking and there's breakouts and there's all different kinds of ways to connect with people and to learn something new and to move yourself forward in your career or your business or whatever it is for you. So I am pumped. It's coming up so fast.
I know. So, anybody listening, if it's intriguing at all, I'm sure you've heard us talk about it week after week. But if you want to come play with us, check out the show notes. The links are all there, and we'd be really happy to get to meet you.
Yeah. It's exciting. Okay, well, wonderful. I want to talk about because I love this kind of conference. It brings you together with people who are going through a lot of the same things that you're going through when it comes to business because this is going to be a lot of business owners, small business owners. Not only that, obviously, but for me it will be good to connect with small business owners. And I've been thinking about recently how much it's just a whole different world. It's been almost 5 years, and I didn't know how it was gonna feel to not really have anybody celebrating me,
Yeah.
now
No one
at
above
networking.
you telling you good
Yeah,
job.
yeah, the team, we all celebrate together, and people at networking, sometimes they'll pick up on something and celebrate an accomplishment that you've had, but you have to, like, tell people, about your
Yeah.
accomplishments, and then, I don't know, it's a whole different game, and it made us think about that difference between being an employee, a decorated one who's
Yeah.
indispensable, and then going to be the boss, and that's of your department or that's starting a new business, and it's such a different world, and I didn't know it could be so different, and so we just wanna talk about that today.
Yeah, I think this topic is probably under talked about, but so super real for a lot of people. It's like the thing that slaps you in the face when you do get that promotion or, a new role of a leadership type. For us in our experience prior to Essential Marketing Group, I was really, really excited getting promoted to a leadership role. Our leadership role was a little bit different. It wasn't exactly like being a boss, but our accomplishments were measured in the accomplishments of others. We were influencing others to do better, and that's where our results came from. And I was really pumped about that promotion because I really felt like I was going to be able to make an impact on a bigger scale. And what I learned getting into it was while that is true, it's 10 times harder to do that. And it's a lot less about what I'm in control of, and that I'm really like, you don't control the emotions of other people. You don't control the motivation of other people. You can influence it, you can impact it, you do your best
Mhm.
on that. But I didn't know what a control freak I was. And
Well,
when you want
and
things to be just so,
mhm,
and you see the vision of what it could be, but you have to get somebody else to buy into it, there's
mhm,
difficulty in that, big time.
there is, and when you are very good at your job and then you move to that next level, that more leadership role, coaching role, whatever that may be, it's a whole different set of skills, right? Because just
100%.
knowing the job and being good at it, it's important to know what you're coaching. In our
Mhm.
situation, it was very important, but it it didn't really translate nearly as much as it didn't matter that you were the best at what you were doing before, because now you have to be the best at coaching and
Mhm. You have
influencing
to know
people.
the material, but be an expert at leadership.
Yes,
And I think
we
a
were
lot of people
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people get promoted into leadership because they were really good at the role, which kinda makes sense, right? Like, especially from the bottom looking up, it's like, "Well, I'm really good at this. I should be able to do your job." But the
Mhm,
skills to do that job are completely different, and you kind of don't see it until you get there and you're like, "Well, shit.
mhm, and
Am I cut
luckily,
out for this?"
though.
And the other thing
Yeah,
is some people don't even want those things, right? Like, I want more, I wanna grow, I wanna lead because it sounds good, but, like, how do I wanna spend my day to day?
mhm,
Leading other people or getting shit done?
but that's the
That's 2
ladder,
different
and
roles.
that's we've talked about the ladder a lot. Sometimes the next rung is a bigger spot doing similar to what you do. And sometimes it's a leadership role. And not everyone should be leaders, and not everybody wants to be leaders. But the corporate structure tells you that you want the next rung, regardless of what it
Yeah.
is. And I think that some people have found that they are unhappy with that next rung because they need to be the one who's celebrated, not the
Mhm.
one who celebrates, right? I think that I am happy with how things are going in this business. I have always wanted to coach other people. I've always wanted to lead other people. I am much better at spotlighting somebody else than taking it on myself.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong, though, with people who are like, "I wanna work hard and do the job so well and get all the accolades." There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. It's just a difference in how people are made. And so if you are looking for that next rung and it doesn't fill your cup, you're gonna be masking and unhappy there.
Yeah, and I think for me, once I got to that place and then not really realizing what as much as I didn't realize, I did. I knew it was gonna be a shift, but you can't really feel it until you're there. I was left in a little bit of a place of confusion. And I'll say even now, where I sit now, I'm at a little bit of a place of confusion because I do like coaching people. I like the relationships and the impact of seeing other people, seeing the light bulb go off and they take it and run with it and they kill it. I love that. But I
Mhm.
also like to be in control. I like to know what needs to be done and get it done. I like things to be on my timetable. And that doesn't always, the two don't always go together. And I think, beyond whether or not you're naturally cut out for a role, there are things that go into that, that have maybe nothing to do with that. I am not at a time in my life where that makes sense. What makes sense for me in my life and where I'm at with my family and my personal needs, I need to be able to do my job, know what the job is, get it done, and be able to walk away from it.
Mhm.
That is not the way leadership is lined up. You're not always in control of your schedule. You're not always in control of what you're going to be doing because you're constantly anticipating the needs of your team and having to pivot and adjust to support them. And
Mhm.
I mean, I got to tell you, I'm supporting kids and that's about to wipe me out.
Yeah. Well, it's like I already lead these people. I don't need to lead anybody else, right? I'm already stretching every
Yeah.
bit of my control issues by letting them
Yeah.
live their life and fail and pick them back up. I can't even imagine the stress that goes on you being a parent, right? And Anna and Dan, like, I'm just a bonus parent. I am here for the fun, kind of, you know. I
Yeah, but
rarely
you get
deal
to
with
see
the
it all
I
from
see
the
it,
front
right.
row. Yeah,
Absolutely. But it's like it would be hard for me if I had to make every decision for kids, like I get looped in, I get a say, but I don't have to have that on my shoulders all day every day. That's
yeah,
that's for the people who made these people, like they have to
yeah.
put that on their shoulders. And then I lead a team. Oh my gosh, that's too many decisions in a day, like that's
It is a lot, and I will say that the same control aspect that I'm talking about in leadership at work that you kinda give up, I'm dealing with that as a parent of teenagers too,
mhm,
because they need to be making decisions on their own. They need to be, dabbling in the freedom and figuring out how to walk on their own 2 feet
mhm.
for life, right? Like, because they're not far from having to
Forever.
before they
Mhm.
get flicked out of my house.
Yeah.
But not being in control, you know, not being I wish right now in teaching Peyton how to drive that I had one of those cars like they do at, like, driver's ed schools that has a
Oh,
brake
with
on the
the
passenger
big
side
break.
where you're still ultimately in control, you know? So, giving up some of that control and in the wins, like, so many of my wins personally come through my kids, and I always hated those parents where it was like, "Oh my god, you are literally living through your kids."
Mhm.
There are people who take that way,
Yeah,
way out of
absolutely.
line, in my opinion. But I gotta tell you, like, in the parental zone, like, it really is the biggest accomplishment of my life. So when they succeed,
Yeah.
even if I did little tiny things along the way, like, I can see it. I can see where, their dad and we created really good kids, and I take my wins from the back seat there. I don't have a problem with that.
Mm,
It's the control.
yeah.
It's the
Well, but
control.
I think
And it's
I
funny how
think
those things, like, kind
mhm.
of parallel.
Well, they do, and I think that a lot of people want that promotion, want to start their own business, want all of those things where they're the boss because they do have control issues and they don't
Mhm.
want anybody else to control them. But guess what? You
That's
can't have
kind of a
control issues
fantasy.
as and keep employees anyway, right? Because the
Mhm.
micromanaging, you have to be able to delegate and trust but verify, and that is hard with control issues because I could just do it all myself, but then I don't need employees.
Right. And then how much can you actually get done as one person? It's
No.
it's very complicated when you go from performing a job to, like, multiplying the, results of that performance, right?
Mhm.
You've got to figure out how to lead everybody to be those top performers and get that. It's just so
And lead
nuanced
them
and
in the way that they need to be led and influence them in the way that they need to be
yeah.
influenced and not care that they got to it a different way than you did, but it still had a good outcome.
Mhm.
And it is hard. It is hard. There are things that I look at and I go, that's not how I would have done that. It's good. So that's not a fight that we're having, you know?
Yeah.
But it would be easy to go, I think you could have got there better or faster or easier
Yeah.
if you would have done it my way. And it's like, that's a lot of energy when you have somebody who's capable of actually doing it and to not just
Yeah.
take it out of their hands and be like, I'll just freaking do it. It's hard for control freaks. And I think that we both have
You balance
control
that really
freaks
well,
and
though, I will say, because creatively, and I think everybody has their own like creative thread that looks a little bit different than the next guy. But I
mhm,
think there's a lot of times in our current work where you will look at something that I've done and go, wow, okay, not at all what I envisioned, but this is good. But you give me the time and space to complete the vision without going, and this is what I want, and this is what I want. And there are times where it's like, I've already had the conversation with the client. We know what the vision looks like. This is
mhm,
where we're going with this. And you
yeah.
balance out when that's necessary really well. So
Mhm.
kudos to you,
Well,
because I
that
think part of the problem with being the boss, becoming the boss, is that
mhm,
nobody celebrates you anymore.
mhm,
And it probably doesn't mean the same to have, I as your best friend and also your employee go, "You do a really great job of helping me do my job." But
I always I'll
I mean,
always take it
but
from
that's just
anybody.
it. It's like if you don't get that from me, you kinda don't get it at all. I
Yeah.
mean, our clients will say thank you and great job or whatever,
Mhm,
but I don't know. I think it's also that's the nature of stepping out of corporate entirely
mhm,
too, is that, there's no big awards galas to go to and be recognized for your accomplishments. There's no like, we are on a much smaller scale. There are
mhm,
pros and cons to that, and if you have to be the Travis Kelce that's
mhm,
naming lights and everybody's looking at me,
mhm.
maybe this isn't your bag. I don't
Yeah,
know.
small business isn't for you, either the employee or the or the boss.
Right?
But I think that the reason that I can be good at that is because you and Mallory are very good at what you do. And if I had picked people who weren't creative and then I wanted them to go be creative and it was bad, then it would be hard to say,
Yeah.
well, that's good because it wouldn't be. But I think that it's a whole mindset shift. It's a mindset
Mhm.
shift of my wins are because you guys did a good job, just like you said about the girls, right?
Mhm.
Your win as a mom is you kept them alive. Great job.
Yeah.
But also that they're turning out to be great people and they're going to be successful in their life and they're going to
Yeah.
be great friends with people and whatever. But I think that it's the same as a boss as long as you do it right because we've also had bosses that needed too much recognition and you're like, dude, it's not about you now,
You're like, "I
right?
did that. What?"
Yeah. You get
Yeah.
a bigger paycheck. So you should take that and not worry about the accolades as much.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done this years ago, right? I had to get my mind right. I would have felt very lonely. And I think that a lot of
Yeah.
leaders feel lonely, especially when they are leading their friends who used to be their peers and now they're leading them. It would feel really lonely because you do have to hold yourself at a different level and a
Yeah.
lot of times there's no fraternization and things like that that make it hard to keep those friendships. It would be
Yeah,
really
there has
lonely
to
up
be
there.
boundaries where before there weren't as
Yes.
strict boundaries, and I just found a way to sneak in the word boundaries to our conversation.
We don't have a drinking
Ah.
game. Don't worry about it. So, but I think when my mindset shift, took place of it doesn't matter if our clients are calling and they're not saying, you guys did such a good job. It's Mandy did such a good job. I'm so happy with Mallory's work. I feel just as proud of that because I chose the right people and
Yeah.
Looks good on the business and keeps the business going, that you guys are doing such a good job. Like, those
Mhm.
are the wins. Leaders, their wins are the money, the extra money. Like, you need to think
Yeah.
of it like that, because that's what keeps it coming in, is employees, but, the
Yeah,
leaders too.
and I think there's a dangerous spiral that some leaders who don't quite grasp that can go down. You can really start to overwork to prove your worth because you don't have those tangible accomplishments um to be celebrated. So when nobody's celebrating you, even though they're all there, it feels like I haven't done enough, and that's
Yeah,
why
you're
I'm not
still
being
over here like,
celebrated.
look at
Mhm.
me." So you're doing
Yeah.
more, and
Yeah,
it's
and
like, no, you just need to.
you're keeping score against people that are playing a completely different game, and it's unfair, but it's something that, we're doing to ourselves. Lastly, I'll say, I think it becomes really dangerous when you start to resent your team for the recognition that they're given. And I
Mm,
don't think we ever really experienced that. I don't think
no.
anybody ever was like, "Of course you're being recognized for that. Like, I told you to do it." We didn't
Right.
have any of
Yeah.
that, but I can totally see it happening from somebody who really gets their validation from being recognized for their work, and they have somebody that they've invested a lot into that gets success, that does a really great job, and then gets recognized for it. Like, bitterness and resentment can creep in, and it can destroy a team.
They're like, "You didn't get there alone.
Right.
Hello." But I'm sure that that happens. Luckily, I didn't see that specifically, where it was resentment or bitterness. But
Yeah.
I think that it is hard if you're not in the right mindset, if you're not in the right job. There are leaders who are born to lead, who
Yeah.
get off on developing their team, right? And
Mhm.
when they're not feeling wins of their own, they are living for the wins of their team. That's a great leader.
And those people, kudos to you.
Mhm.
Kudos to you, because not everybody's built that way.
No, most people aren't built that way, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's why we've had so many bad leaders through the years, of people, mostly managers, like in the stores. I had so
Yeah, I was
many
gonna say,
bad
not
managers.
necessarily that we work directly for, but yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of leaders and have examples of all shapes and sizes.
Mhm. And they have been just not there for their team. They're
Yeah.
there for themselves. And if you need to be in the spotlight, sometimes a leadership role is a good place for you. Most of the time, I'd say that it's not, because you can get so much more, at least in the world that we grew up in, you can get so much more as an employee, or as a middle manager, or as, somebody
Yeah.
um who they have all the awards for culture and morale. They just don't have as many of them for the leaders. I just encourage anybody who's struggling through this. Is this the right job for you?
Yeah.
If you're finding
Or do you
yourself.
just need a mindset shift?
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people in those roles, they're finding themselves in burnouts because the expectation and the reality do not align. But it's like,
Mhm.
is your expectation even realistic? Right? Like, are you even expecting something that is possible? I think that as this all kind of wraps up together, um, and coming back to burnout, it's another example of like, are you in the right seat on the bus? But I think a lot of these people are on the right seat on the bus. They just have to shift what those expectations are. I think that, it's because people are looking at the wrong skill sets to dive into than what it actually takes to do that job. So to your point, the control aspect of things, right? You can't control others. So if that's where your brain's at, if you continually stay in that loop of like frustration, you do have to come to a place of acceptance that your success depends on others and shift what those expectations are
Mhm.
so that you can be successful in the role. Because if you don't, then the lack of control is going to eat you alive, and the
Mhm.
validation that you're not getting is going to eat you alive, and burnout is going to come 10 times faster because the applause stops
Mhm.
because there's nobody watching. You don't have an audience anymore. You are now
Yeah.
the cheerleader. You are
Mhm.
the coach. You are the person pushing
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And, some people are just made to be an actress, not a coach.
Mhm. Yeah. You earlier said that it probably doesn't mean anything that you celebrate me for my being good at this or whatnot. And I think that anybody who's a leader, their focus needs to be on getting those accolades from their team because I have had bosses that I never once complimented because
Mhm.
there wasn't anything really to compliment. Like, thank you for keeping me employed, but you
Yeah.
didn't serve me any purpose in general. You didn't develop me. You didn't do anything but fight against me, some of them.
Mhm.
And it means a lot to me for you to tell me that I do a good job with this. And it's not just that one time that you've said that. It's really helpful because it's the only thing that matters besides keeping our clients happy. It's the only thing that
Yeah.
matters is that you guys continue to want to work for me and
Yeah.
for our clients. And so I am helping on both sides of that, keeping you happy with the business and with our clients. That
Mhm.
means the world. And I think that if you are a leader who's like, my bosses do not see what I do for this team. It's like, who? As long as they continue to employ you, you get your
Yeah.
wins from your team because they are putting out great work. And hopefully you're doing so much for them and being so understanding and being so collaborative and everything that it takes that they're like, I would I would follow her anywhere or
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
I
I
that
think the
means the world.
biggest takeaway from what you just said, and maybe this entire conversation, is if you are a leader in that situation and you are maybe feeling the effects of burnout coming on because of all of these things that we mentioned, like maybe we're looking for the applause from the wrong place.
Mhm,
You started this conversation by saying, like, now I'm in the driver's seat. I don't have a boss. There's nobody above me to say good job.
mhm,
But you shouldn't be looking above anymore.
mm,
Your joy, your validation should be coming from those that you serve and the way that they recognize that. So whether
mhm.
that's your employees that you are supporting or your clients that are saying, "Oh my gosh, your people did a really great job." That's where it has to come from. And if you're looking for it in the wrong place, doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely, and it's kind of a situation where when it's time for another promotion, they need to
Mhm.
kick you up to the next promotion. One of the first things they're gonna do is they're gonna talk to your team. They're gonna do a 360 on you. They're going to,
Yeah.
um, interview your team about you because it is about taking care of people. Being a leader is about leading people, and if they're looking for a next level leader, you gotta have your team saying good things about you, or else you're not going
Yeah.
anywhere. So that's where I would focus all of my effort. And somebody, Chad, on our call earlier said something about the 7 something of an effective leader. What's the book that he was
7
talking about?
habits of highly effective people.
Highly effective
7
people.
habits of highly effective people. Stephen Covey.
Yes. But it's like it just reminded me, like, we used to read so many leadership books, and we still, touch on things from time to time, little bits and
Mhm.
pieces when we need something. If you haven't listened to the episode where we talked about How to Say Anything to Anyone by Shari Harley, I loved that episode because that was a good reminder because that's
Yeah.
really important if you're in leadership and you're maybe struggling through it. That's a really good book to read.
That was
But
a pivotal developmental piece for me in my
it
corporate
was.
life, for sure.
And we'll put that in the show notes to what episode that was. So if you want to go back and listen to that. But I think that every leader or anybody who is looking to the next level to get into leadership needs to stay on top of reading those really good development and leadership books because you don't want to not be ready if this is where you're going. If
Yeah.
this is where you want to go, not just the next rung on the ladder, because you do want to make sure that that's even what you want. Leaders who don't want to lead, don't go there. It's
Yeah.
miserable for you and for everybody around you. But
And also, I wanna say it's okay. It's okay to be like, "I'm not a leader, I'm a teammate."
mhm,
It's okay. There's no shame in that. And I feel like the corporate environment sorta sets you up, like, if you don't want that, then what are you doing? There's
yeah,
no shame in any part of a team because it takes all parts to get
mhm,
through it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's always ways to, I mean, with some companies, it depends. I tried to change my job without having to move up in leadership and it didn't work out. But some companies will be like, we value you enough to make something where you can be more challenged, where you can make a little bit more money, where you can be of value to us, but not at the exact same
Yeah, in a
level.
different way.
And if that's something, if you're like, I need to be not the cheerleader, I need to be cheered on. Great. I don't want to lead people. There's no shame in that. Ask for that. Or go looking for jobs that just stretch your skills a little bit more, that can push you a little bit more, that maybe
Yeah.
pay a little bit more because there's plenty out there for you.
Yeah, yeah, I think the job market is wild out there, but I think now more than ever, it's time to really make sure that we're where we're meant to be. There's only, I hate the cliche terms like you only get one life to live, but really, it's like with every passing day, there's less of it left. Go do what you want to do. Be where you're meant to be.
Mhm.
You're only
Yeah,
stuck if you make yourself stuck. This is a really
I
great
agree.
conversation. Definitely a little eye opening about,
Mhm.
leadership is difficult.
Mm.
So
It's so difficult, and you can't know how difficult it's going to be until you're in it.
until you walk in those shoes.
And I hope that anybody who's thinking of starting a business is interviewing a whole bunch of people who started a business and not just jumping in. I just jumped in and I figured out a lot of stuff for myself. I wouldn't do that a second time. I would
Well, you
ask
killed
some
it the first
questions
time.
first. Well, thank you. But it takes a while to figure out and it burns you out. So
Yeah.
do the research. And same with if you're like, my next level is this, and that's what I got my eye on, interview the people who do that job right now and just make sure to
Yeah.
understand what you're getting into and tell them to try and talk you out of it. That's what they did to us in the job that we took. They're like,
That
"We're gonna
was
try and talk
my
you out of
job
this."
on the team was to talk people out of it. Like, let me tell you
Yeah.
why you don't want to do this job.
Yeah, but it's
This is
important
a
because you have
superpower.
to yeah, you have to know that the people understand the pros and the cons of everything that they're about to do, and just don't go in blind
Yeah.
is kind of my advice on
Agreed.
that.
Agreed.
Well, I liked this conversation. I don't think that we talk enough about leadership, in
Mhm.
general. You know, we talk a lot about being an employee, and because that I mean, we were middle managers,
Middle
if you really
managers.
yeah,
Yeah. We talk a
which
lot from
is
our own
the worst
perspective.
place to be. Yeah, but I think that a lot of people would relate to this, that it's very different, and and you have to embrace it or you have to change your seat on the
Yeah.
bus,
Yeah.
and
It can be
we just wanna
isolating
talk
for
through
sure.
this. We just wanna talk through this, and we hope that if you are, struggling through this, that this is an eye opener and you can try and figure out what needs to be different. I hope that
Yeah.
you can just change your mindset, you know?
And I will say, last week we got a comment on one of our reels from the episode noting a part of the conversation that we didn't even touch on. So if you're listening to this conversation and you're thinking, how are you guys not talking about, blah, 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 whatever, of how it might impact you, let us know. We want to hear. We want to hear more perspective. And because I think this is a much bigger conversation. We've barely scratched the surface. So
Yeah, no, I love that
keep your
too,
comments
and
coming.
yeah, if you feel like you need to learn more in a different direction, right? Like she was just saying, but we are not the experts at everything, but we know a lot of experts and we have a lot of people request to be on this podcast. So if we can bring someone like one of our first guests was Brie Kay.
Hmm.
She is a huge leadership person. She trains leaders to be great leaders and helps people with their systems and all of the things. And maybe you want her on again, or maybe there's somebody who you would recommend that we could have come and talk, because we do want to touch this from all angles for you if it's something you're really interested in. That's what I got.
Agreed. Well, thanks for the chat, Mandy. And we will talk to you all next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.